Dear property sales professional, it gives me great pleasure to present this chapter 9 to you. Alright. By the way, may I introduce myself as Madam Wong, the virtual assistant to CTM Joseph NG, your sales and marketing expert. Chapter 9 Book Summary 7 Giant Steps to Achieve Selling Excellence. Quote, success in sales is the result of discipline, dedication, and sacrifice. Thomas Roy Cromwell. He was an English peer. He was the only son of the Tudor statesman Thomas Cromwell, 1st Earl of Essex, and Elizabeth Wicks. Don't be shell-shocked if I declare to you the entire book can be distilled in just 1 or 2 pages. Mind you, in this book you will agree now theses best of the best facts and ideas you can always use for your entire selling career. It's the wild truth and nothing but the truth. Lest you forget, the 7 Giant Steps to Achieve Selling Excellence book's essence are real down-to-earth selling ideas, tightly packed in a neat nutshell, so to speak. Hence it can be carried around in your pocket, even as your constant reminder of your honorable profession. Without further ado, let's review and act on steps of the book's 7 Giant Steps to Selling Excellence, best done by slowly and diligently looking again in the condensed summary chapter. Shall we proceed? Thanks. If you recall, the first and foremost selling step is to qualify your suspect for purpose of converting them to be your ideal customer. To achieve this task, you must properly examine the suspects to ensure he or she that can be converted to be a good paying customer. Basically, it can be done by using the 3 initials of MAN. By the way, M stands for money, A stands for authority, and N stands for needs. If you remember, when these guidelines are used well, there is a great chance you, the sales professional, will save time, money, and efforts. By so doing, it will to raise your sales career to a greater height even. Make no mistakes, the second step to achieve selling greatness is to do an earnest job of prospecting for real buyers, especially those who can be easily qualified to be your lifetime profitable customer. As mentioned, to achieve, do make ends of every week a get-together affair, not forgetting to arrange one-on-one personal contact for meals and etc. with your contacts. Plus, remember to build your unique business website. Yet another prospecting method is to search local Facebook for leads. Additionally, be sure to organize free of charge talks relating to real estate matters, best done in and around the area where you are selling. Another thing you must recall is to spend quality time with divorce lawyers. The divorce couple may need the salesperson recommend houses for divorce couple to stay subsequently when separated. Lastly, and more importantly, be sure not only to have a reliable printer to print your door hangers and postcard, but also hang them in the right way and targeted places. Not in too many words, the third steps, you must not forget to apply skillfully the next selling stage, i.e., the approach. As written, a good approach is to be early for appointment. More often than not, it is likely to make a fine impression on your prospect. In your approach with prospect, make it a point to let your prospect know that you are thankful to meet him or her. Furthermore, be generous with your positive comments on the people and things in the prospect's place and their people. Never forget to wear a pleasant smile at all time, regardless of the situation. Finally, you must always ask non-threatening question appropriate to the sales. Does it rings a bell? In fourth stage of selling, which is your sales tell, you must apply the ideas behind the initials of A.I.D.A. For remembrance's sake, let's review the essences of your selling message by restating that is attention. By the way, it is phrase number 1. In this step it is important recall your first few words of your sale talk must get the prospect to pay attention to the product or service. Next, in phrase 2 of I in your presentation, you must arouse the interest of the prospect in your product or service. Get my drift? Additionally, you must also remember the D of the next stage of the A.I.D.A. presentation. This is to create a strong desire for what you are selling. Do make the would-be customer to eagerly wants the product you are selling. The last and final step number is to call to action on the part of the prospect to own your product. This could means getting the prospect to sign the order form or pay a deposit. Let me wrap up this summary regarding sales objection with these selected 3 deep secrets. Of course, others tricks and tips are just as vital, but for the time being let us reconsider these most important secrets. Nevertheless, be reminded the said objections raised by your prospect are the high price, the wrong timing, and the need to refer to higher ups. To overcome such excuses or objections of high prices, just tell your would-be buyer he does really get his money worth for your product or services. Also, when faced with the wrong timing issue, do tell the prospect there may out of stock problem if the buying decision is delayed. Finally, the issue of the need to refer to another decision maker. The sales professional must still give him the best and convincing sales presentation. Agree or not? Just to be clear, the chapter on closing can be distilled in a few succulent sentences. Let's us for a moment try to recollect the methods. As said, the first method is the order blank close. Briefly, it means that the salesperson must expose the sales order at the start of the sales talk. When the prospect is familiar with your order form, it is easier for the sales personnel to close the sale. If you still remember, the method number 2 of I think it over close involves the sales professional to seek out the real reason why the prospect doesn't buy. Next, if you still recall, the third method is closing. One of the methods is to apply the puppy dog close. The idea behind this close it to leave the product with the prospect so that when the prospect has grown to love the product, he would easily buy it. The second last method, if you look back, is the balance sheet close. It can simply mean we have to show the prospect it is more advantageous to buy than not to buy. Finally, the last method is ask for the order close. Plainly, it is just to confront the likely buyer to buy. If the prospect does not buy, then the salesman must then fish out the reasons. With this, the salesman then can finally convince the prospect to buy. Does that few sentences do summarize this chapter? If you ask me, it is a resounding yes. Here is the kicker. The last stage of the 7 steps of achieve selling excellence is contained in the sales after the sales. In fact, there are only 3 key points to note. Firstly, the sales professional should not overtalk. It might result in the salesperson to talk himself out of the sale. The second point is asking the customer or non-customer for his referrals, especially those who are his or her good friends. To excel on your career, it is important to get a continuous stream of prospects to sell to. Even if your current prospects do not buy, it is still good to ask for them. The third and last point, you the professional salesperson must always write a thank you note. It shows that you are sincerely grateful for his business. Many a time this did get good results. True summary without sounding like a broken record. Allow me to distill this chapter in a neat nutshell. Believe me, this chapter deserves your full attention. It's like the home turn after a long hardy trip. Agree or not? As a roundup and just to crystal clear, in essence there are only 7 important points to carve into our brains. Firstly, is to screen out the prospect to get the real buyer. You must qualify your suspect for purpose of converting them to be your ideal customer. Furthermore, the next stages are getting a good approach. It entails you to be early for the appointment. It's for the purpose of taking time to get a good impression for yourself with the prospect and others. In the 4th stage of selling, which is your sales talk, you must apply the ideas behind the initials of A.I.D.A, which is A for attention, I for interest, D for desire, and A for action. In the next, your sales steps of the sales are to overcome objection with the tactic already given. The second last stage of the selling process is closing. It can be done gracefully with the method already given in the final step of sales. After the sales professional must not overtalk, not forgetting to ask for referrals, and also to write notes of gratitude. Easy to remember? Conclusion. Therefore, having all said and done, a fitting conclusion must include a few words on your willingness to adopt the Step 7 giant step to achieve sales excellence. In all fairness, it may cause you much trouble to make some drastic changes on your selling style. Fear not. I myself has adopted and followed the steps religiously, and found it very beneficial to my selling career. Don't believe? Just try it once or twice and you will agree with me. In truth, if you don't try, you have failed, but if you try, there is a good chance you will succeed. In the final closing of this chapter, do allow me to close with a quote by Carson V. Heddy, the author of the book Birth of a Salesman. All right, always set your goals higher than you could ever possibly reach. That way, when you barely fall short, you're still better than everybody else. By the way, until we meet again in the next chapter, allow me to bid you yet another great day. Goodbye, and may God bless you always. P.S. As a reward for reading up to this paragraph, here is bonus reward for you. Please click on this link, https://youtube.b/jtlzkbs